So Brock's supposed to be at 2:30. Let's see if he shows up. I hope that he does. I feel like there has lost some luster, which could be built right back, but a little bit of luster on DC versus Brock. And what I mean by that, not in terms of we would all like to see that match and that we all hope that match happens. It just seemed like there was a major fire around it that then went away to the point where DC was even saying things like, hey, I think I'm fighting Brock, which started out with, yes, I am fighting Brock. And then it turned out, I think I'm fighting Brock. I'm waiting to see what happens with Lesnar. So I would love for him to be there because I think that would add back some fuel to the flame that's needed, because that is a huge match should that thing come together. Now, when you break down is Brock going to be there, that's not just as simple as him parking his big ass in the front row. It's not as simple as that. There's a few moving parts to what are you going to do if Brock is going to be there? Because we have to be faced with the lessons that we learned about the Conor Khabib disaster. So you can't be armed with that information that bringing fighters that have heat face-to-face is a great idea when you also look at when DC and Stipe got done and DC and Brock were face-to-face and Brock put his hands on Daniel. And even though that did not backfire and that was more looked at for what it was, which was a good, entertaining piece of theater between two future competitors, which is accurately what it was. But when you look at that and you go, okay, but either way, he still put his hands on him. I can't bring them face to face. DC has now come out and said, if I see Brock Lesnar and he gets in the ring at UFC 230, I'm going to smack him in the face. That's not just talk. DC got pushed the first time, and he's not going to be a sucker and get pushed the second time. So what do you do when you have this information in the wake of the debacle that happened after Khabib and Conor? Well, I don't think you can bring Brock in the ring. That doesn't mean Brock can't still be there. It does not mean that Brock cannot come and be in the audience. I just don't think it's likely that he actually gets in the ring and does the face-off. Plus, the in-ring face-off between Brock and Daniel has already happened. And I don't think it could get any better the second time. I don't think if Brock got in there and cut a promo on DC a second time that it would be better than it was the first time when he burned down the entire division and announced that he was coming back. So I think that you just put the monster in the audience, pan the camera to him once or twice through the show, and leave it at that. But you are then faced with, is that anticlimactic? Because if that is anticlimactic and you can't get anything, particularly something organic, like you did get the first time, if you can't get something that is organic between the two, there's no point in doing it. So it gives you the third option, which is if you can't face them off, if you aren't going to get something better than what it is you've already gotten, and you can't get something organic, can you then, as a promotion, add a piece to the puzzle? Because then it would make sense. So imagine that Brock Lesnar is there. He gets a cameo. DC gets the victory and gets the interview. And then Joe Rogan or somebody else is able to add a piece to the puzzle, such as an announcement that January 19th at the T-Mobile Arena, Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Cormier, or something along these lines. If they could add a piece to the puzzle, it is not enough to just have Brock there, though it is cool. It is cool. There is actually something special to Brock just being in the building. I can tell you when he walks out and the crowd and the pointing and the cameras and the pictures that take place, there is something special there. It's just not enough. And you can't get him in the ring and face him off with DC. Welcome to DC's last fight. We've already seen it. You're showing us something that we've already seen. And as far as footage goes and speculation goes, you're not likely to get something better than you got the last time. Unless you could add a piece to the puzzle. If you could sit Brock in the audience, if you could get that camera shot on a two-way, and then you could have one of the announce team give us evidence, or rather give us information that we do not yet have. Don't fumble my words, Nick. Don't interrupt me. If you could give us some information that we don't have, such as the date, it would be very helpful and it would make for a lot of sense. And I would predict that if we see Brock Lesnar there, we will not see him in ring face-to-face with Daniel. And I would predict that we will get another piece of the puzzle, specifically a date for the pose matchup between Brock and DC.